Here's why I don't invest in commercial real estate. My investment strategy is all about building capital first and then using that capital to invest in an asset to produce income. That's when I choose to transition to commercial real estate. Now, the reason I don't invest in commercial now is because commercial real estate doesn't grow like residential real estate does. What I mean by this is with residential real estate, there are constantly sales happening in the marketplace. So if you buy a property today in suburb 1, there's a good chance that 50 other properties in the suburb will sell between now and the end of the year. And hopefully those properties are selling for more and more, which means the property is going to be revalued at a higher price point. So you can actually release equity from a residential property much faster than you could if it was a commercial property, because the commercial real estate market is a much lower volume market. Not as many properties sell, and generally the value of the asset is tied much more to the rental income that the asset produces rather than what other properties are selling for. So essentially, if commercial value is tied to commercial rent, your asset is tied to inflation. For example, if inflation is running at 2.5% per year, you're going to get a 2.5% rental increase next year, which isn't actually going to make a huge difference to the value of your asset. If you go back 4 or 5 years when we had that huge inflationary period, you could see a lot of growth in a short period of time, but you might go through a period where there isn't a lot of growth for a long time, which means you're essentially going to hold onto an asset that you can't get equity out of until we go through a higher inflationary period. Residential assets are much easier to access equity in over shorter periods of time and then reinvest in more assets. So when you have a larger chunk of capital, you can sell your residential assets down and use that chunk of money to buy higher dollar value commercial assets, which can then start producing income for you. But if you never build the capital, it's very hard to build the same level of capital in commercial, and it's going to take you a lot longer. If you went residential first, you can cut out a lot of that growth period and then you can roll it into commercial for cash flow later. So when I've gotten to the point where I've got a large enough capital base, I will definitely be transitioning to commercial.